Rain is not just water from the sky. Sometimes, it is the mirror of the human soul. Have you ever stood near a window on a stormy night, listening to raindrops fall, and felt as if every drop was carrying your own hidden tears? They say women cry silently, because the world rarely listens. But what happens when silence turns into strength? When tears become seeds of a new tomorrow? Tonight, let me take you on a journey. A woman's journey. A story of pain, survival, and the courage to rise against the storm. This is Where Rain Meets Tears. Part 1. Innocence Stolen. 308 Fellers. Ayesha was born in a small village, where girls were expected to grow fast and dream small. She loved the rain since childhood. Whenever it poured, she ran barefoot outside, hands wide open, giggling as raindrops soaked her tiny dress. For her, the rain was freedom. But as she grew older, that freedom shrank. Her brothers carried books to school, while she carried buckets of water from the well. She watched them laugh while doing homework, their pencils dancing on pages, while her hands became rough from scrubbing dishes. One day, she gathered courage and asked her father, "Abu, why can't I go to school too?" He sighed, looked at her mother, and said, "Girls don't need education, Beta. Their classroom is the home, their degree is marriage." That night, as rain tapped on the rooftop, Ayesha whispered to herself, "If my tears could write, I would already be a student." At 16, her childhood ended. She was married off to a man nearly twice her age. His face was a map of sternness, his voice sharp, his eyes heavy with expectations. She entered his house not as a partner, but as a servant of duty. Every day was the same cycle: cooking, cleaning, silence. Her laughter disappeared. Her books remained a dream locked in her heart. Nights were the hardest. Sometimes, as storms raged outside, she lay on the floor beside her small window, silently crying, so her tears could mix with the rain. She believed if the sky carried her tears away, maybe God would notice. The world told her women must endure. But endurance, she realized, was killing her from the inside. Years later, she became a mother. Holding her baby girl, she felt something awaken in her heart. That tiny face, fragile fingers, innocent smile. It was like God handing her a second chance. But fear grew inside her too. Will my daughter inherit the same silence? The same cage? The same tears? One stormy night, with her daughter asleep on her chest, she whispered to herself, "Numb, I cannot change my past, but I will change her future." The next morning, the streets were still wet from rain. Carrying her daughter, Ayesha walked to the local school. She begged the principal for work. He looked at her worn clothes, calloused hands and tired eyes. "You have no qualifications," he said. "But I have determination," she replied. Finally, he gave her a small job cleaning classrooms. It wasn't teaching, but it was a door. Every day, Ayesha swept the floors, dusted the benches, washed the chalkboards. But while cleaning, she listened. She memorized lessons the teacher spoke, repeated words quietly to herself, and when everyone left, she practiced letters on leftover chalk pieces. She learned slowly, secretly, stubbornly. The rain no longer heard her cries, it now witnessed her whispers of hope. Years passed. Her daughter grew. holding books that Ayesha once only dreamed of. One day, a teacher fell sick, and the principal, almost jokingly, asked her to handle the class. With trembling hands, she walked inside. The children stared. She picked up the chalk, her heart pounding. "Let's start," she said softly. That first class was not perfect. But it was powerful. She wasn't just teaching alphabets, she was teaching resilience. She was living proof that women could break chains, even with bare hands. From that day, she became more than a cleaner. She became an educator, a mentor, a mother not just to her daughter, but to every child who looked into her eyes and saw courage. One evening, years later, the rain poured again. Ayesha stood by her window, her now grown daughter beside her, a college degree in her hand. "Emmy," her daughter whispered, hugging her, "because you cried in the rain, I can now dance in the storm." Ayesha smiled, her eyes wet. This time, her tears were not of pain, but of pride. And as the rain washed the earth outside, it washed her heart too. She had learned that even when life steals your laughter, even when the world silences your voice, tears can still grow into rivers of strength. So whenever you hear the rain, remember Ayesha. Remember the women who cried silently in storms, but turned their tears into seeds of change. Remember that strength is not born in sunshine, it is born in storms. And sometimes, the most powerful journeys begin where rain meets tears.